everyone, and welcome to Dare I Ask and the Morning Monologue, where my goal is to inform, encourage, and inspire. So please take what resonates with you, discard what doesn't, and please share what you think will benefit others. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about healing. And I'm bringing this absolutely amazing book to you. It's called The 12 Stages of Healing by Donald M. Epstein. This is an incredible book. I got it years ago, like probably about 14 years ago. I actually got it from my chiropractor. And this was one of his mentors, the man that wrote the book. And this is what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to just quickly, briefly go over the 12 stages and what they are so that you could start to identify at what point you are in healing regarding any issue of your life. So the question is, dare I ask, have you or somebody you love experienced a reoccurring sickness, a feeling of emptiness and longing, a major trauma, emotional hardship, or anything like that, a feeling of being stuck in a rut or a pattern, or anything along these questions, right? Who hasn't felt like that? All of us have felt like that many times in our lives. But there's a system to it. There's a purpose to it, right? This is the thing that we don't see when we're in the thick of it, right? When we're in the middle of that trauma, in the middle of that crisis, we don't even, we're just not there. Most people are not there. But the secret is to be there at all times. Even if you find yourself slipping away, the more aware you become, the faster you catch yourself. And the faster you'll be able to identify at what stage, okay, which of the 12 stages of the healing that you are with that particular instance. So let's just go over this very, very quickly. This is actually something I would like to do an interview, right? A podcast with somebody, like take a full hour and really dive into this. But this is just the morning monologue. We're just going to do a skim. And I just want to plant the seeds because I'm really hoping that this, as I'm reading through them very briefly, you're going to recognize where you are in whatever is kind of bubbling up in your world right now. Okay. All right. So stage 1, suffering. Okay. I think most of the planet, I shouldn't be laughing, but really, yeah, it's kind of a sad thought, but most of us, most of the walking, living, breathing people on this planet are actually stuck in stage 1, in suffering. I laugh because I spent most, probably 40 to 45 years of my 52 years in stage 1, right? So I can totally vouch for this. So what is stage 1? Okay, it's labeled suffering. Stage 1, it's not pain. Like I'm not talking about, there's a big difference between pain and suffering. Pain is when you hurt yourself, you break a leg, break an arm, like that's physical, tangible pain. Suffering is emotional pain, right? It's in our mind. So this especially occurs when we are confronted with a traumatic or chaotic event in our life or some sort of loss. That's suffering. Who hasn't experienced chaos, right? We're living chaos. Who hasn't experienced suffering or trauma? Everybody. So that's step 1, just acknowledging this is what it is. Stage 2, they call it polarities and rhythms. This is basically the search for the magic genie that's going to come and save you. This is the stage 2 is kind of like you recognize and you're like, I, this is insane. I need somebody to pull me out of this ditch. You're looking outside of yourself for somebody to be your savior, right? That's stage 2. Stage 3 is stuck in perspective. Stage 3, the recognition that our distress is associated with being stuck in a perspective. We need to know why we've been stuck or what to do about it. We just need to have the simple awareness that we are stuck. So in step 3, or stage 3, just recognizing your perspective, which is I'm stuck, which is I'm sad, which is I'm depressed, which is, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. All of those things, recognizing how you're feeling and identifying that, that's step 3. Step 4, reclaiming your power. Step 4, the healing is one of which we realize that the script determined by the above 3 stages is no longer desirable and no longer works. You know what? There's that old saying, you're walking down the road, you're walking down a sidewalk, and there's a crack or a hole in the road. And instead of going around it, you try to, you just walk past it and you fall right in. Somebody pulls you out, you go the next day, you go down that sidewalk again. And what do? You see it, but again, you fall right in, right? It's just that it's making that same mistake over and over and over again. Until the day comes when you stop and you look at it and you're like, I don't want to fall in that hole again, right? That's the recognition. This is beautiful. That's the moment you start reclaiming your power. Instead of being unconscious and just walking through and then falling into the hole, no. You go, wait a second here. I have choice. I don't have to fall into that hole. And then you start to make decisions. Okay, so like I said, stage 4 is reclaiming your power. Initially, we're angry that we have lost our power and are determined not to let that happen again. As we process through the stage, we no longer choose to dishonor ourselves. So we're at that hole and we stop. We're like, I don't want to do that to myself again. Right? That's what I just said, that moment of awareness. That moment of awareness, reclaiming your power. Stage 5, merging with the illusion. This stage is associated with having a strong sense of self to merge with the illusion, which keeps us from our light or our shadow. This merging, the part of our nature we have alienated, disliked, or ignored, is integrated into the rest of our being to create more wholeness. So that's that. How do you explain it? So that's that shadow self, if you want to call it that. That's that aspect of yourself that you've been going down that road, falling into that hole, making that mistake over and over again. Instead of denying it, instead of trying to play ignorant as if, oh, well, I didn't do that, you actually look at it and acknowledge it and go, you know what? That's what I've been doing. And once you acknowledge and publicly state what it is that you've been doing, and you bring it back into yourself. So saying it's not out here. Well, I didn't do that, because how many people project their mistakes onto other people because they can't own it? Once you begin to own what you have been doing to yourself, because really any mistake we make, it isn't towards anybody else. It's towards ourselves, because it's the only person that it truly affects. Yes, there's subsequent effects at other things, but when it comes right down to it, it's all ourselves. So once you acknowledge and own up, is the way I term it. Once you own up to what you've been doing and saying, yeah, you know what, that's me. Actually, there's a fabulous quote, and it says, I've got it on my fridge. I've got it on a little plaque. Once you accept your faults, nobody can use them against you. Oh, like, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And this is the whole thing, merging with the illusion. Now, when they mean illusion, that's a whole different thing. We're not going to get that, but just merging with your faults, your mistakes, your shadow self. Just once you acknowledge that and bring it into like saying, you know what, this is part of me. Oh, it's beautiful. Stage 6, okay? Preparation for resolution. In stage 6, we build momentum and flexibility. The alienated, traumatized, denied, or redirected consciousness or energy is being prepared for discharge and resolution. We feel the tension building within ourselves as this process advances and finds ways to create change and improve flexibility to continue the process. Basically meaning you're willing to work with yourself. You are willing to recognize and go, okay, there's other options. There's other things. Preparation for resolution. This is like being on the road, being on the edge of that hole in the road and going, okay, you know what? I could go around it, or I could do, I could jump over it. You've got options. You don't have to fall into that hole anymore, right? So this is the whole preparation for the resolution. Stage 7, resolution. This stage may involve a discharge of the muscular system, such as a movement of extremities, fever, coughing, sneezing, screaming, laughing, puking. I've heard of, there's many, like just screaming or using physical to punch something or to whack a pillow. I've actually seen people develop like cysts almost on their skin, and stuff is like pus is coming out of it. It's very symbolic of all of that crap that's within you. You're actually physically releasing. And this is very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Most people think that it's a terrible thing if they're puking or if they're, just crying. It's good. It's releasing. It's releasing that blocked energy, okay, in your body. So when the discharge occurs after the previous 6 stages, a sense of accomplishment, peace, and inner strength accompanies the process. Then resolution can be achieved. So basically, like, you've seen people just melt down and sobbing and crying for hours. And then all of a sudden, and sometimes it can go on for hours or days, there comes a point where you just stop. And you literally feel like your well is dried up. Right? I'm not talking about the well is dried up and you harden. I'm talking the well is dried up and you are like peace. Peace is ultimately what it is. There's no need to cry about that anymore. Or that physical, retching, getting it out of your body. When you're done, you're done. And it's almost like, when you have the flu. Like, the perfect example I could think of right now is, when you've got the flu and you're like, you know you're going to puke. You just know you're going to puke. You don't want to puke. You're, trying to go, okay, I'm breathing deep. I'm okay. I'm not going to be sick. I'm not going to be sick. And then you're running for the bathroom and you just wolf your cookies. Do you know that feeling of how much better you feel after you do? Once you release it and get it out, it's out. You don't have to deal with it. And this peace and calm, and you can just feel your stomach settle down. It's exactly the same. Stage 8, the emptiness in connectedness. After the resolution and discharge, we are emptied. This is not a space of nothingness, but instead a place of possibilities. It's once you get all the crap out, then you can decide what you want to fill it with. Right? It's kind of like leftovers in a pot. Get them out of the pot, finish it up, or throw it out if they've gone bad. Now, what can you prepare? You've got the pot back in use. We enter a stage of gratitude, vulnerability, connection with our eternal rhythms, and alignments with events around us. We expect serendipity to be available for us as a natural way of life. It's that place of, I call this the place of faith, right? Serendipity, a coincidence. Things will start to come to you. You have released all of the garbage. You've made room for the good to come in. And now circumstances are going to just start to, oh, just appear out of nowhere. Synchronicities, just miracles. Another word is miracles. The emptiness to connectedness. When you empty everything out and you don't have that feeling of needing to rush out and fill it back up, synchronicities and things are just going to appear and naturally fill it back up. And what's going to come is what you want, right? That's that stage. Stage 9, the light behind the form. From our place of emptiness and gratitude, we become aware of our fullness of light and energy. We experience that we move more than our physical bodies, and we actually become aware of the flow of the life force through and around us. That is connectedness. That is realizing you are not your body. Your soul is in your body. Actually, your soul is in your body and all around your body. Right? This is when and that's, probably what they mean when they say the light behind the form. Your body is just a shell. That's it. It's an incredible genius, piece of mechanisms, but it's just the shell. So in this, we may even experience our energetic connection to others. Totally, we're all connected. This occurs in conjunction with awe and joy of the process. The process. So it's amazing because there's this exercise that I do with a group of people. And it's called the Great Awakening. And it's with the Love Your Life Challenge. And we do this process every day. And we think about something that we don't like about our life. Okay, so let's go back to the suffering, right? The polarities, stuck in the perspective. Those things that we don't like about our life, any one of those 3 stages. Then we shift our perspective And instead of looking at the problem as a problem, we look at the problem from a completely the polar opposite, the complete different opposite side, and we look at it with the eyes of seeing the gift in that experience that you have created for yourself, right? Anything that you want to try to blame on other people is a waste of time. All experiences in your life you have created. Okay, that's a big nut to swallow right there. But just take that for what it is, because it's true. And you look at it and say, okay, what is the gift in that? Why did I do that? Because I know this is to serve me. And through us doing this process, we actually travel from step 1, 2, 3. We start to reclaim our power by consciously making that decision to see it from a different perspective, consciously making that decision. I don't want to fall in that hole. I've got options. I could go around, I could jump over, I could take another road, right? That's that whole place. Then we travel all the way through to stage 9. And it says right here, we may even experience our energetic connection to others. This occurs in conjunction with our awe and joy for the process. The awe and joy is discovering the gift. And once you see the gift, you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. I get it. And you can never unsee that. You can never unsee that. I highly recommend this process. You know what? It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. If you do have to do it right though, like you have to consciously, fully aware, feel that discomfort, that anger, whatever it is. You've got to really connect and state, gosh, I really don't like ba 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 1, 2, or 3, right? Those suffering stages. 4, go, okay, I don't like it, but I'm willing to look at it from a different perspective to see the gift. Go all the way through. And once you discover the gift, I'm telling you, it is literal joy. It is 100% joy. And you have just jumped to stage 9 in whatever that issue is that you were originally upset with. Okay? Firsthand experience. I've said many people. Okay? Now, stage 10, Ascent. There is an awareness of being, okay, in stage 10. Not as housing a spirit, but as spirit itself. We experience our union with the creative force of the universe. Right? This whole thing of you see the gift in the whole thing. You went, oh my gosh, I understand why all of that happened now. You realize that by that union, right? The union with the creative force of the universe, we transcend all limits, boundaries, language, judgment, and our existing sense of self. We receive the gift of knowing the oneness of all creation. This is when you see that what the gift in what you've got, and you're like, oh, and it's like you see the whole picture. You see the whole picture and you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. And then when you see other people going through the same thing, that's why it's so beautiful in this group that we've got, that we're sharing it with each other, either through audio or through writing, leaving a message or private messaging, whatever the way is. It's this whole thing that we realize, oh my gosh, my awareness can actually impact somebody else, right? This is this whole process that we're all kind of swirling around in this, you know, vortex of life together. Literally together, not together, we're an individual, but we are together because we're all part of the collective spinning. It's truly brilliant. Okay, stage 11, I hope that makes sense. Stage 11 is descent. We are renewed beyond our limits and sense of self and enter into the world again. We know that we are part of all we perceive and responsible for what we know. It's fully taking ownership, fully knowing, fully, just fully being in your shoes. We live without being attached to our situations. It's like saying, okay, I want for this, you pray for it, you intend for it to happen. But if it doesn't happen, you're okay with it because you know you're part of the circuit, this funnel. I see like this what are they called? Tornado. So everybody's just spinning in their own, chaotic state. And yet when you're in the center of the storm, you can see the spinning as the chaos, right? So within each of our spinning, we have a center. So when you see that the spinning doesn't have to mean anything, right? I could be going too deep here. I hope not. We live without being attached to our situation so that the spinning, okay, we want this, and then we're all rushing around doing this. If it doesn't happen, know that within that tornado, that spinning of life, the outcome is always going to be perfect for you. Always, 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 without a shadow of a doubt. Always. We love and serve others. We communicate with others and with others through our wounds instead of from them. This is exactly what this process is. Dare I ask, from myself, going through my journey in life, it's like every parent wants to pass on their wisdom to their child, but for the most part, the child has to learn the lessons on their own, right? You can offer them wisdom, but it's all up to their choice. So stage 11 is when we communicate with others from our place of wisdom. Dare I ask, that's what I'm doing, sharing everything that I've learned from my journey. We start to do that with each other. In this group that I was just telling you about, Love Your Life Challenge, this is what we do. We share with each other what we love about our life and our experiences in life. Because when you share with other people, you're actually expelling wisdom onto them. It's up to them whether they take it or not. That this is where you have to separate from the outcome. This is where you can ask for whatever you want, but separate yourself from the outcome, detach to the ultimate outcome, and just have faith and knowing that whatever is meant to be in your best interest, and sometimes in your best interest is to learn a hard lesson. Don't get me wrong here. Don't think that it's all going to be rosy. It's not all going to be rosy. Sometimes you have to learn a hard lesson, but learning that hard lesson is going to benefit you for the rest of your life. So that hard lesson was still put there to serve you, right? And stage 12, okay, community. We experience our involvement with humanity and we recognize that wholeness comes from bringing our gifts of individuality into community, right? Oops, I've got something coming up here, right? This is where it all is. This is the community in the Love Your Life Challenge. This is any group that you have. You begin to experience that, wow, we're all learning. We're all here learning in this school of life. And we're all here to help and to serve others, to make their learning a little bit easier if possible, if it's meant to be. This is the whole thing. And that right there is the 12 stages. We recognize that all of our choices are spiritual ones and affect the entire globe of beings. Eventually, we realize that the limits of what we can bring to community stems from our lack of awareness, right? It all stems from the things that you thought were happening to you instead of for you, right? Therefore, we seek to re-experience the rhythm of the earlier stages. So basically what they're saying is, we're like, you know what? Bring it on. It's okay. Bring on the life lessons, because that's when, number one, you see what you're made of. Challenges is what we see, what we're actually truly made of. Then we learn from them and we're like, oh my gosh, wow, I actually overcame that. To give you a perfect example, my son, he just this absent-minded stage that he's in, he forgot something which caused me to have to drive a half an hour, an extra half an hour on a day when I already had 3 hours, I think, of driving. So I just said, you know what? That's not cool. That's not cool. I don't appreciate that. There has to be some sort of an exchange here. This is costing me an extra half an hour of my time. What can you do? We agreed on that he would do the dishes for 7 days. He's come out. I'm telling you, I've seen this firsthand. He has come out of that 7 days, just as a matter of fact, today is the first day I'm back doing dishes. He has come out of that experience and he looked at me and he's like, I did dishes for 7 days. And he's like strutting like a peacock. So that whole process, somebody from, I'm going to say it with a lower vibrational observation of it, might sit there and be cussing and swearing and going, oh my gosh, you know what? I had to do the damn dishes for 7 days. But instead, my son is going, I did dishes for 7 days and I'm still alive. He made it through it. He actually took it as a notch in his belt and saw and feel ultimately, because I know by the way he's standing there going, huh, I did this, da, 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 da. He's looking at it from a much, much higher perspective and seeing that, okay, you could view it as a punishment, or you could view it as, you know what, a punishment that's actually strengthening me, which it did. This is the whole thing. So let me just rephrase that. Eventually, we realize that the limits of what we can bring to community stems from our lack of wholeness. Therefore, we seek to re-experience the rhythm of the earlier stages. We seek to re-experience the life lessons. We seek to re-experience the chaos, the suffering, and all of that in order to go through the stages again to come out victorious. Huh? This is how it works. It is truly, truly incredible. Incredible. Now, I will type out just the quick summary of those. I'll put it in the comments or wherever Riley puts it in there for me. And just dare to ask yourself, where do you stand? Just pick any issue in your life of what's going on, something that's causing you suffering in your heart, in your stomach, because that's usually where we're holding our emotions. See where you stand on it. Which stage are you? And now you know briefly what are the stages that you can move forward on. You can actually type it out, print it out, and go, okay, I'm here. What do I need to go do to get there? Okay, I can do this. Take a deep breath and know that you can do this because you already know the 12 stages. And you know, once you get to the 12th stage, there is no suffering anymore. It's not going to hurt anymore. And you're going to see the benefit of it all. So, guys, that has been my message today. Do me a favor, click the like button. Please share this with everybody that you think will benefit from it, which is pretty much everyone walking on the planet who doesn't already know about the 12 stages of healing. And I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow. All right, take care. Bye.